Together, Sushant and I have put 35,000 miles on my car alone since we met. I love road trips and pride myself on curating the perfect playlist for the ride. Of course, all of my playlists are available on Spotify. Check out all of my folk and indie ones. They're my favorites. Anyway, here we are in Roswell, New Mexico, 7 hours from Dallas. Alien Central. There are many museums, cool virtual reality films based in the city. There's also Alien Beer, a 3.5 in my book, but that's just another resident alien's opinion. It's a short drive from Roswell to White Sands National Park, newest national park to join the gang, and fairly small one at that. You get to drive on the gypsum to get to the Alkali Trails. There's several other accessible trails throughout the park, and most of the sand dunes are open to hiking unless marked otherwise. But the best way to experience this park is to rent a sled for $5 from the visitor center and just slide. Next on our itinerary was Carlsbad, New Mexico, a very humdrum city made special by its proximity to two beautiful parks, Guadalupe Peak in Texas and Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. And Carlsbad Caverns is where we were headed next. You can climb down to the big room at the bottom like we did, but you could also take the elevator, which makes the ancient wonder quite accessible. The major rule in the caverns is not to bring any food or drink, no flavor, in order to protect the bats and other species that thrive underneath. But there is a nifty snack bar and restroom at the bottom. Make sure you don't leave the park without taking the scenic drive to Rattlesnake Canyon.
Meet the driver.
We had a good night's sleep before heading out to Guadalupe Peak, 8 miles and 3,000 feet. This was the big one. Rated strenuous in all trails, I've heard people deny that. Yes, it's only 8,900 at its highest. And yes, there are harder hikes in California or Colorado, but Guadalupe Peak is the highest point in Texas. And it doesn't take away from how big this undertaking was in the Texas heat, especially for a beginner like me. It was gorgeous though. There are many false peaks along the way to fool you, and you cross a small bridge to get to the last peak. Finally, our Texas's very own El Capitan emerges. But that was it. I couldn't push myself to go beyond 8,500 feet. A good hiker knows when to call it. We still had the 3.6 miles on the way back, and I almost hurt my knee on a large step down. Not so fun fact, I had a partial tear in my ligament at the time, and due to a dancing injury, I couldn't really balance myself that well. It hadn't bothered me for 2 years, but then I had to go and choose a high impact activity
Radhika?
as my favorite pastime.
Do you hate me?
Well, that high impact
You love
activity
me?
is a big part of my life now. And I also have a new ligament, but that's for later. Before I forget to mention, I never drive after a hike. It's as good as being inebriated and I just can't make myself do it. But my husband, the superhuman, drove us 7 hours straight back that very night.